Am I the a-hole for finally kicking out my friend slash roommate? I, 26F, am finally kicking out my friend, 46F, after a year. Long story short, a friend of mine randomly called me up and told me her living situation was suddenly changing, and she was about to be forced to live in a motel. She asked if there was any way if I would allow her to stay with me for 2 months max, so she could get back on her feet once she moved back to our state. I said of course, as I'd never want to see a friend be put in that situation. I furnished a small room in my house, bought a bed, curtains, rugs, etc., and let her come stay with me. Now a little backstory and red flags. I hadn't talked to this friend for about a year and a half prior, as she completely ghosted me when she was going through obvious mental and financial issues. At the time, she was living with her mother, who clearly did not want her living there long term. I would spend hours and days looking for affordable housing, and even driving her to some locations to take a look. Ultimately, nothing came of all the effort I put in to help her, and she ghosted me and ended up moving out of state with her friend. Then, I got a call a year later asking for my help. Fast forward to today. It's been 12 months. Again, we agreed upon too. She had a difficult time finding slash maintaining a stable job with reliable income for the first few months, so I allowed her to stay for a bit longer. Mind you, I was not charging her rent, so she could save up what she could. I also let her eat my groceries and drove her to from places so she wouldn't have to Uber and spend money on that. Only recently within the past 4 months has she begun contributing $300 to $400 per month to me, and some money for gas here and there. As she is a sensitive person who tends to have turbulent emotions slash moods, I would gently ask her if she had saved any money to put towards moving out, but she would never give me an exact or even vague amount. Just that she has some, but it's hard. Obviously, I have slowly been getting more peeved the longer she lived here, as I want my personal space back, and from my understanding this entire time she's made no significant progress in changing her situation. But nonetheless, I still gave her grace, and remained empathetic to her situation as I know it's incredibly difficult to survive on your own in this economy. I even got her job at the company I work for because several of the ones she tried out didn't work out for one reason or another, big mistake. And now it's clear to me slash why slash they didn't work out. Last month I finally came to her and let her know we are coming up on a year since she moved in, and that I expect her to find a place and to move out by then. She said she understood. Now, finally a month later. Within the past week, she suddenly became extremely emotional and distressed, crying at work constantly and needing to leave, having constant emotional breakdowns. Eventually, I discovered she has been on Suboxone this entire time and was in obvious withdrawal after losing access to the medication for a week. She doesn't know I know this, and refused to provide any explanation to her behavior besides, "I don't know what's happening to me," when I asked. I ended finding several of her multiple prescriptions in her room when she wasn't home, and now it all makes sense. It's clear to me now that majority of her money is probably going to these prescriptions. She has no insurance. I also found several past due credit cards where she has only been paying off the interest. If she has any money left over after this, I have no idea where it's going. I'm at a point now where it's clearly never going to be a good time to tell her it's time to move out, as she's always going through something challenging mentally, etc. Basically, it's always something with her. I can't do this because XYZ type of thing. Despite the issues she's now going through, I finally told her she has a month and a half to move out, no exceptions. I cannot extend the time any long and need my personal space back. Now she is crying, making me feel horrible, saying she has no choice. Am I the a-hole for finally putting my foot down? I can't help but feel like I'm kicking somebody out at their lowest, but I physically, mentally, and financially have no other way of helping her, nor do I want to. I feel taken advantage of, as much as I don't want to believe she's due that to me as a friend. Update. I recently gave her a 1.5-month notice that she needed to move out, so I was finally a bit relieved that I would have my home and privacy back to myself after all this time. This morning at 7:30 a.m. my roommate violently banged on my door and was screaming for me to grab my dog and go outside. Obviously, in a panic, I did as she said, but kept asking what was going on as I thought there was an emergency. Come to find out, she thought there was a fire starting in our house and needed to get the animals to safety, so left the front door wide open, allowing all 4 of our indoor cats to run freely into the neighborhood. Obviously, this was extremely shocking, and I immediately got dressed to go retrieve all of the cats. Thank God this was a quick and easy process and could have been much, much worse. Once I had the cats inside safely myself and my partner confronted her together to see why exactly she thought the house was on fire. Ultimately, all she said was, "I just had a feeling something bad was going to happen, and to trust me when I say I thought I was protecting them." So she pretty much gave no explanation to any of her actions. At this point, my partner was completely done and told her he no longer feels safe or comfortable with her staying here and she needed to immediately get out. Obviously, she was having some sort of mental episode that she or myself cannot explain, but I made her pack up all of her belongings and dropped her off to a local hotel. Now she is crying, making me feel horrible for not just sweeping this incident under the rug and allowing her another 1.5 months. I know what I had to do is justified, but I still feel like an AH for kicking out an extremely vulnerable individual.